and I was working with this guy. Where was he living? In Utah, I think he was. He was a youth minister. No, a youth group minister, whatever the title is officially on. He worked, and he was in his 40s of all that, and he's working with these kids, essentially teenagers, and he's been doing that for like 20 years and running these youth-based groups in an organization, in a religious organization. And he was just doing that year after year, and getting burned out, and every year saying, I'm not going to do this anymore. And every year he would do it because he loved the kids, and he's just beating himself up. And he's 40 years old. It's hard to work with 16-year-olds, when you're 40. And and we were talking, and he's saying, well, this is all I've ever done. This is all I know. And we go back and realize when you do something like that, about management, leadership, group building, and he's going through all this stuff. Yeah, I've done all that kind of stuff. And now he's working in marketing of all things.
Listen to the vibes.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Listen to the Vibes. And I'm very privileged to have Mr. Jim Black here. And he is a career consultant. And we're going to get to know him, get to know what he's about, and hopefully inspire you. And before we get things going, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you, Kyle. Thanks for the opportunity to come on here. I've seen some of your podcasts before, and you do good work and you help people, and that's what it's all about, right? So, and that's what I'm all about too, right? So I was not exactly a young guy anymore, so I've been through my share of changes. Used to work for government and worked in private sector, and I still work in education part-time. I did a lot of different things. And I realized after a while that, it was okay, but I didn't quite feel I had that direction, didn't quite feel like I was just kind of following what I really wanted to do. And, sometimes you get out of school and you go in a direction and you don't even think about what that direction is, right? You just keep on rolling, and then the years go by, and then suddenly I find myself in 2004, essentially clinically dead in a hospital. And then, after that, I think I started to wake up and made some changes and figured out what I wanted to do. And I just try to help people figure out what they want to do and don't have to go through the same kind of stuff I did to get there.
Yeah, gosh, when I first got married, and I was 19 when I got married, it was a dumb choice, but I got 3 lovely kids out of the deal.
All right, there you go.
I started out in construction, and I did just about everything. I was a scaffold builder's helper, carpenter's helper, electrician's helper, boilermaker helper. Just about every part of construction, I was there. And then it was just one job after another, because you get laid off and that kind of thing. And I was an exterminator. Eventually, I can't even remember everything I did, but eventually I ended up working for the city, and I got my licenses and to work on water lines and sewer lines, and learn to run all the equipment, all that good stuff.
Good work. Yeah, it's fine.
It was a great job. It really was. I couldn't complain about the benefits. Your retirement, you got 2 for 1. So, that was a nice chunk of change when I retired. But, you get stuck in that job, and I guess when you're trying to take care of bills and family and put food on the table, you kind of feel like you're stuck. And even though, I stayed in working on water, I went from one city to another trying to make more money. You know how that is. But I still wasn't happy. And I feel like most of my life, I just wasted away on jobs that I didn't really care for just to pay bills.
Yeah, and that's the case. What doesn't matter, white collar, blue collar, black or white, male or female. So many people are in that boat, and a lot of people are hurting out there, right? So they need the money. So you take what you can get. But like what you're saying, I've worked with, and I used to work in education, helping people out. I still do this in what I do now, but. People they're roofers, they're landscapers, whatever, and they're doing all this backbreaking work, and they get to like their not even in their 40s and their 30s, and they're realizing, I'm aging because this stuff is beating me down big time. You know what it's like, right?
Oh, yeah.
You just, you like the work, but then you feel like, oh, your body's not what it used to be when you're a 20-year-old guy, And then, well, what do I do now? Well, they hadn't thought about it, and now you're in a whole different ball game, and you can't use your arms and your legs as well. And then, what do you do then? It freaks a lot of people out, and it really, it just, they have to reassess. Better to do that sooner than later, but there are options, but nonetheless, you got to take care of your body in the process, and it can wear down pretty quick.
Oh my gosh, yeah. When I was a kid, I occasionally get the flu or a cold or something like that, but I thought I was invincible. I'm not going to get I'm not going to get arthritis.
Sure.
I'm not going to get cancer. I'm not going to get this. I'm not going to get that. I'm just, I thought I could do it all. And then I got into working in the water department, and, you work on water leaks, and sometimes it's 20 degrees outside, and, you're standing in water, freezing to death. And then eventually it ended up becoming arthritis.
See, that's what it is. And then what? Then you're limited, right? You limit yourself, and you don't think about it at the time, but we can only deal with so much. What do you do then? How do you make the best out of life? And you told me before, you go into something different. You go into podcasting, you work on your music, you do whatever. But a lot of people, they hit that situation of, well, what do I do next? Well, these are the people I like to talk to.
Well, so do you help people like that are around my age and older?
Especially, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, it took me a long time to figure a lot of stuff out. I'm a little bit thick, I'm not as sharp as I used to be, but it took me a while to realize that, I'm not happy with what I was doing. I had to go through some crazy stuff back then to kind of realize that. But, I still see people that I know that I used to work with, and they're in their 40s to get into their 50s, and they're really kind of thinking, I'm just going to cruise to retirement. I'm just going to do another 15 years of the same job that I hate, just so I can be okay. And that's all I know. Yeah, and they're thinking, and you hear it in the media, right? The ageism thing, you hear this a lot. They're thinking, I'm too old, I can't make a change. There's all these 20-somethings out there, got all the good jobs. No, so I love to work with those people in their 40s, 50s. And believe me, they don't realize it. They have a lot of skills. They can pivot from one place to another. You do a lot of things in all those years. You just never think about going back and kind of take a self-inventory, right? See where you've been. What are these skills you have? I work with plenty of people who never do that. And when you go through that process, they realize, hell, I've done a lot of stuff in the past. Now let me kind of focus it in a different direction. People are getting jobs all the time, over 50 years old, as long as they have the energy and have the optimism and can figure out what they've done and how that translates into what they want to do.
Yeah, I kind of compare it to when I got married. I was married for almost 20 years the first time. And then whenever I got my divorce and I tried to get out there and date, I didn't know what to do. I mean, you're talking almost 20 years since I went on a date. I don't know how people act nowadays. And it was very, very difficult for me. Well, people get into a job and they're there for 20 years. They're like, what do I do?
Well, change is hard, right? Whatever it is, whether it's a relationship, a breakup, or the job or something, or your body starts to give out. The thing is, like, change is inevitable. What's the only thing that's certain in life? Pretty much change, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, that's it. You can just say, and like I do, back when I was pretty sick way back when, I could have said, well, here's something terrible that happened. Well, this just sucks. There's another example of how miserable life is. I could have just went down that road and stayed on the same road and be talking about getting to retirement. Or you can take it, take that opportunity and say, well, stuff is happening. Now, what do I do about it? Whether you get help to talk to somebody to figure that out, or you figure it out yourself, which I did kind of the slow way. What do you do about it? Change is always some kind of opportunity. you do a little self-reflection, you figure out what you really want, you figure out how to move in the direction you want. Don't just give up, and don't just say everything's stacked against you, because you have the power and people don't realize the power they have.
Now, if say someone like me in construction type work decides, you know what, I think I'd probably rather maybe work on computers or something. Do you help them get like the vocational education they need for things like that?
Well, what I do is I open their eyes to what's available to get them where they want to go. And this is a very common situation. And people, they feel like they're trapped. Which way do I go? A lot of people simply don't realize the opportunities that are out there, the resources are out there. And a lot of older people tell me this time, I like to work with older folks. I like to work with older men, especially. Men sometimes don't quite get the picture as quickly as women do. And they'll think, well, I'm just going to man up and I'm just going to suck it up and just keep doing what I'm doing because I'm tough, But they don't realize that there's a lot of stuff that you can do. There's a lot of education. There's a lot of self-improvement that can be done. There are a lot of courses, things you could take. There's a lot of free stuff on the internet. And what people who do hiring out there look for is, are you motivated to learn new things? What have you done in the past 10 years? What have you done for me lately? Have you bettered yourself? Have you looked into any kind of education opportunities? Have you been networking? Have you been connecting with people? Have you been following good people on social media? Have you been interacting? This kind of stuff is what people want to see and gives you the leg up over the next person. I just enlighten people and say, have you thought of this? Let's try this. Let's build on this. Let's move forward. And if people have the energy, the optimism, the desire to keep learning, which sometimes is a little bit harder when you got older, those are the people who are going to do fine. Because they're showing that they really want to keep being productive and are open to new ideas. If you're open to stuff, things will open up for you.
Now, I don't know how true this is, but I'm hearing from people that a lot of the younger generation are not really wanting to take jobs. And so maybe this is an opportunity for older people to take those jobs they didn't think they were qualified for.
Yeah, I certainly see that. I mean, a lot of people who are left the workforce lately are older people. They've kind of been beat up, and COVID kind of caused a lot of them to retire. Now, many of them are coming back and unretiring and going back into the workforce. But yeah, the younger generation, it seems that they are have higher expectations, maybe, to put it nicely, or have maybe certain requirements they like to have. And you hear these stories. I was talking to a guy the other day, and another person who does what I do. He said he's working with a young guy, and the young guy goes into an interview, and he's looking for this job, and the boss is the hiring manager is talking to him, and the kid's coming, I don't know, whatever, he's 20-something years old. Well, these are the demands I want for the job. Oh, he wants like this, whatever, like $100 a gift card to start, believe it or not, to Starbucks. He wants to make sure there's a gym downstairs in the basement, and he won't settle for less than that. Wants his commuting fees paid for, get a car when he needs it for company work. Come on now, it's a different world than we were younger, and they're coming in, and yeah, a lot of them have great talent, but really, you're working for somebody else. They're not working for you, right? So, keep your expectations in check. And if they're not getting what they want, a lot of them will move on to something else, causing these employers to offer some really weird benefits these days. But yeah, I mean, so yeah, aim high, but don't be ridiculous about it, and get the job and move up. If you have to, get the experience, but don't be asking for crazy stuff, because it just makes you look like you're really kind of not the person they want to hire.
Man, it took me about a decade, and I moved up to supervisor position, and they give you a truck. So in case you get called out, you can just jump in the truck and go to wherever you need to go.
Yeah, of course, you have
But
to.
yeah, but it took me that long. And when they gave me a truck, I'm like, really? I get to take this home?
Yeah.
I was pleasantly surprised. And now they just expect it.
Well, that's, I mean, I was brought up to be thankful for, for the things that I get. And I think a lot of people are brought up to expect things more than they deserve. So I'm just thinking, I'm happy to just have a decent life. I'm not making a lot of money. That's okay. I'm happy to have the chance to help people, talk to good people like you, on the podcast, have a nice place that I'm, the roof over my head. That's kind of, I'm thankful for being alive, to be honest. So just having that is fine. A lot of younger people can stand to use that, understand that lesson, hear that, to just be happy for the chances they get. They'll get their money just fine. And just be thankful for that. Don't just keep asking for more and more. That's just not, I don't think that's the way to roll.
No, it's not feasible. Well, I am seeing though, like kids, my children's age, who are, my boys are in their 20s. My daughter just turned 30, but they saw dad struggle. They saw dad have to get up in the middle of the night to go out on a job, and sometimes work a couple of days without even coming home. And I think that motivated them to say, I don't want to do that. And so my kids went to school. They like my son, my youngest son, he's a nurse.
Excellent.
The middle or the oldest son, he's doing skincare esthetician work, I think is what it's called. Cool. And my daughter is now a manager at a bank. And so I think those kids saw us having to work so hard and decided they wanted to do it. But it's our generation's fault, and the ones that are a little younger than us, it's their fault. We've given the kids too much. And I mean, like cell phones. Would you have gotten a cell phone when you were a kid? I wouldn't have.
I wouldn't see the need for it.
So
but now it's automatic, right? Just who do you see who's under 30 who doesn't have a cell phone?
Right. I mean, there's 8-year-old kids walking around with cell phones nowadays, and I didn't even have a landline in my room when I was that age, So it's our fault, and I can't put all the blame on them.
You want what's best for your kids, right? My mom and dad never went to college, and they worked all these jobs, and they worked hard to put my sister and I to and to pay for a college education. And they both passed now, but my dad was working 3 or 4 jobs, and mom was doing the same sort of thing. It was just nonstop. And without them, I wouldn't be where I am. But but I take it as, well, that's great. So I'm not just gonna, I want to honor their memory. I'm just not going to cruise and take advantage of the nice work that they did. I'm going to put my efforts in too. It's maturity, right? It's those mature people out there, whatever their age is, that realize, I've been given a gift. I'm alive. I can do these sort of things. I'm going to do some good stuff with it, and I'm going to help other people along the way. It's hard for me to help people who have all these expectations and say, well, I deserve this. I'm 22, by God, I'm going to just get what I want. And that's how we do it in this world. I have a hard time kind of connecting with those folks, to be honest. That's why I'd rather work with older people. They understand. They've been through enough of stuff. They know how hard it can be. You just have to educate them sometimes and where they can take all those skills they've had.
Yeah. No, I'm saying, though, we can't put all the blame on them. But there are a lot of kids that are coming up that they are hungry. They're getting great jobs, like at these tech companies. I mean, that's a big deal. And it's good to see. But someone like me, I probably would have jumped on the opportunity to get some help to find a better job. And like you said, COVID comes around. You had people that just said, you know what, we're not going in the office, go ahead and retire. And now things have opened up. Sitting around the house didn't look so appealing after all. Let's get
What do you
back out there and
know?
work.
What do you know?
Right.
Yeah, and that's why a lot of people are going back to work. They retired and then suddenly, they're realizing, well, I'm kind of bored, so what do I want to do? But the bottom line is I just tell people, to talk it out. Again, with men's especially, I like to work with male clients. They maybe stuff, they're going through this kind of stuff in their head and they're feeling kind of, well, I don't know how I feel about this, but talk to somebody. Talk to your spouse, talk to your brother-in-law, Tony, or somebody. Go talk to somebody about this kind of stuff and just kind of say how you feel about it. Open yourself up a little bit to the challenges that you're having. Don't just bear all this weight and think you have to be figured out yourself. Communication is such a big part of this, and everyone has a different story, and they should say it, and people can help, and they're very willing to help out there for sure, as long as you kind of share some of the stuff you've been through.
So when you help people to find another job, you help them kind of transition into this new role?
Yeah, I mean, I'm giving them benefits of my expertise and my training, but I'm enlightening people, right? So they'll often come to me and say, well, I've been doing this for a long time. I've been doing roofing for 20 years. I can't do it anymore. What am I going to do next? So, they send me their resume. Yeah, I know it's kind of okay, but it, could be done a little bit better. And they have some social media stuff. We talk about that, and we just kind of, look at what do they bring to the table? Which direction do they want to go? And a lot of people, again, you do things for so many years, you don't know really what's out there and what you could even pivot to. So I talk to people, I work with them, and we do some kind of assessment stuff. We kind of go through all this stuff, and they realize, oh, maybe this career could be a good pivot from what I'm doing. How can we move in that direction? And I like to get people to explore and kind of open their minds and look at all the different possibilities that they had not looked at before. And then we figure out, well, how do I brand myself? I'm all into this kind of personal marketing, because we're all a product. When we're trying to find a job, we're trying to sell a product. That product is us. So how do you get all your nice stuff together? You got your resume, you got your social media maybe. And then how do you go about getting that job? And a lot of it is who you know, right? So it's that networking piece. Once you have those products in place, polish your speech a little bit, get to know the right people, and then things happen. And I just kind of tell people, these are the good steps. These are the things that work. Don't just be hunting online on the various websites and look for jobs. Most of that stuff, most of the jobs out there aren't even posted any place at all. You go make connections once you know what you want and what you bring to the table. And I just kind of move people along that process. And what do you know? A couple of weeks, a couple of months later, hey, it worked out pretty well.
So are you encouraging them to take advantage of sites, say like LinkedIn and Alignable, where you get serious connections?
And Facebook too, absolutely. Yeah, LinkedIn is a wonderful place, and not everyone is on there. Facebook is a little different focus, but a lot of people, and these days you can't just go down the street and kind of meet people. Things are coming back, events are coming back, whatever. But get online. Again, a lot of older people, they're not comfortable with that, so getting used to that, having this social media presence, is pretty much expected. It's no longer just a luxury. It's no longer just for the younger people. It's kind of the way you have to do things. And I was talking to a guy yesterday. He's a little bit older, and he's on LinkedIn. I think he's on Facebook or something. And a little thing, a very, very simple kind of stuff, but it doesn't catch my attention. So we're talking about, what does he have to do to actually catch somebody's eye with this product? How do you market yourself? And I'm telling him, hey, do some posts about something that you're interested in. He wants to be business development. He wants to go into business development arena. Yeah, follow people on that, post on that subject, say some cool stuff about that, get your name out there. People will notice you, recruiters will notice you, and suddenly you're somebody that they want to talk to. And the way it works ideally, and it works a lot like this, you shouldn't have to look for a job. They should be coming to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you have that presence and you know how to promote yourself and you know what you want, which is like one of the hardest things in life to know, you know what you really want to do, you put it all out there, people come knocking on your door. They absolutely do. And social media makes that happen. So yeah, I like people to get on there. Some of them are kind of not their favorite thing to do, but unless you're seen, no one's going to be able to do that. They're not going to be able to find you.
Do you help them clean up some of that social media
Yeah,
too?
well, people don't, I figured it out kind of the hard way, and I took all these classes, got all these certification. Yeah, I mean, most of the stuff, you've probably seen this online. People have like a basic presence, if nothing at all. The crappy looking picture kind of has half of their face in the dark, and a few simple words. Oh, I'm a hard worker. Well, yeah, who doesn't say that? So yeah, it's all about, what are the skills you have? How do you promote that stuff? How do you present yourself? And how do you focus yourself in the right direction? A lot of these social media sites, you have to think of these keywords, which I don't particularly love that term, but if people are looking for it, they're looking to hire, they're looking to outreach to you, they're looking to connect with you, they're looking for certain kind of words, certain kind of phrases, certain ways to say things. Yeah, you have to play the game. You have to have those things out there, and you have to be searchable essentially and put all the right things in the right places. Yeah, I love working on that stuff. Suddenly you look like a person that is in demand, and eventually you are in demand.
And be careful what you post. My God, I saw this lady put up a TikTok, and she had, and I'm not trying to get into politics here whatsoever, but she had posted something kind of along that line. But she said if somebody said something in her presence, she would punch him in the face, or she would stab him, or something crazy like that. And so people found out where she worked and sent them that post, and it got her fired. And so be careful what you post.
I still work with a lot of younger people. I still work part-time in a college, and they're posting all sorts of stuff. They're not thinking about their social media presence, especially on TikTok, Facebook back in the day, not so much anymore, Instagram, right? And they're putting stuff out there, and you'd be surprised if you go to apply for a job, what are those hiring managers, what are those HR people doing? They're looking through social media. They're typing in your name. And they're going to see your beach party Instagram post or something, or your dance moves on TikTok. It's going to, and they're going to be 40, 50 years old. And they're thinking, is this really the right fit for me?
Yeah.
It just use common sense. You have your fun, do some stuff, but just think, when you put something online, everyone in the world can see it. Do you want someone who's your future boss knowing kind of how you do things and how many drinks you had the night before?
Right. And, do you want your grandkids one day to pull up your social media and see you twerking on the beach drinking?
Yeah, exactly. And plenty of people say, yeah, whatever, I don't care about it. Well, I guess, maybe I'm a little bit old fashioned, but the people who do the hiring out there, they're kind of our age, right? And you want to just, be presentable, be professional, have your fun, whatever, but just realize that these things have implications, and people are looking for you, and you want to come across as a professional, whatever that means. But it's just something to keep in mind.
Yeah, isn't it amazing how this social media thing took off like it did? We didn't have that kind of stuff when we were in school, and now employers can pull up your social media, and they can pretty much know who you are by looking at that. What would it have been when we were kids?
And there's no, I was thinking about this. There's no real equivalent to that. How would they know anything about you besides, an interview or a resume or something back then? But now you're all over the place. So, I years ago, I looked up my name and just on Google, and all these little things kind of pop up. I don't even remember half of the stuff that kind of showed up. So, we are all, in a way, we're all kind of celebrities in one sense or another. You probably more than most people, but we are all find outable. And just kind of use your common sense and realize that, someone's watching who might be giving you a job or might not give you a job if they don't like the way you look.
Oh yeah. And have some personality when you go to these job interviews. I've sat in on job interviews. My wife has sat in on job interviews. You get somebody that comes in and they give those, maybe one or two word answers. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Well,
Yes.
I went to this school and I did this job. Well, yeah, we read that, but tell us about you. What kind of person are you? And they don't want to open up and do that.
Well, and I'm glad this is one of my things. And yeah, I talk to other coaches. They're all wonderful people, but a lot of them will say, and maybe you would think that this is important. Have your nice prepared speech and talk about just the facts and make sure you get your point across and make sure they know exactly what you can do for them. Yeah, that's cool. But they know that stuff already. Like you're saying, they know your resume. They know what you have on social media. What else? How do you fit with the personality, with the culture of the organization? Well, be yourself, just like we're talking now. I don't have anything prepared. I'm just kind of rambling on. But be yourself. Yeah, know something about the company, know what you can do for them, but show who you are as a personality. That's the stuff that gets you hired. They know that you have the skills, so they brought you in for the interview, but they don't know if you're going to be a fit for the company. And if you're boring as hell and just kind of relating stuff that's already in writing, they're going to think, well, this is kind of a waste of time. We'll find somebody else who's a little more interesting to talk to.
Sometimes those little skills that you have that you might not put on a resume may end up being beneficial. I worked for the city. Who would have thought, drawing and painting would have been a factor? But every once in a while, they need somebody to do drawings and maybe paint stuff. And they like, hey, well, we can use this guy. So let them know what you like to do. Maybe it could be something outside of the normal job that you do that they could use.
Yeah, I was talking to this guy yesterday. This is a fact. I talked to this guy yesterday. He's an engineer. He wants to go into software development. Great. And he's done a couple of things, very specific sort of stuff. And he sends me his resume. He's talking all about his engineering stuff. He wants to kind of get maybe into management or something at the next level. And they asked him, oh, do you have any kind of management or supervision experience? No, I just kind of do this engineering stuff. He sends me this resume. He worked for like 5 years at an amusement park, of all things, managing a whole group of people. He was younger, but he supervises. He helped put budget stuff together to kind of put the budget together for the rides and he's done all these things. He didn't think that was kind of relevant. Oh, hell yeah, it is. Yeah. You've proven that you can manage a group of people and you didn't get fired doing it. So, you go back, and that's that inventory stuff. Go back and realize and tell people, yeah, I've done some management and I've helped people. I've organized these groups. So we made the budget together. And I didn't think about that. Well, this is what I do. I make them think about it.
Right. Hey, I managed a snow cone stand when I was 18. Well, you know what? That could be relevant.
Why not? And I always ask people, well, tell me what else about you that's interesting. And they'll go on about, oh, they like music or they like art or they like computer graphics. Is there something in there, maybe like you're saying, that could be handy. You can use that to promote a different side of your skills. You can use that to talk about your creativity. You can use that to talk about how you're interested in social media and current events. And you kind of talk about these things like a normal person, and you connect that way. Don't be so dry and boring. You want to show who you are, and that's kind of part of it. I like to get people to think, what's the whole package? What else? What's all of this stuff I can bring to the table? And we all have these amazing things that we just forgot about or don't even think that are relevant. We are the whole package that we want to present.
Yeah. When they see you're passionate about something, hey, then if they can use it, they're going to call on you first because you have that passion. And is there maybe a career that's getting more gravitation to than others that you've seen?
In recent past, there's I guess in general, of course, there's always the IT world. There's always all the various permutations of the computer stuff that's out there. A lot of stuff that's picking up is learning in corporations. I'm thinking of like, companies mid-size, maybe higher company. A lot of there's more focus now on training. There's more focus on personal development, which is really great. And there are jobs out there for people who want to train people who are new to the job to move up the ladder. There are jobs now opening up that we had not heard about this before in diversity and inclusivity. A lot of people are getting degrees in that because that's now being promoted. There's a couple things out there. There's always work in the trades that's still out there. There's always plenty of work to be had in that. And healthcare, a lot of people have left healthcare, and healthcare jobs are always out there. A lot of people who have left teaching because of COVID and are burned out. Well, there's a lot of, education jobs that are out there. For everybody who suffered with COVID and had to leave for various reasons, that's another position that opened up. Yeah, teaching is hard. God bless them. Healthcare is hard. God bless them. There's work out there, and I work with a lot of people in one of the jobs I do. I work with a lot of pre-nursing students, pre-dental hygiene students. There's a ton of them. They realize that, well, this person, they're leaving. I'm going to take their place, and they'll put up with the craziness, but it's hard work, but you do pretty well. So there's always that stuff. There's always the IT world. And a lot of new things are developing. And I see this statistic a lot. It's hard to believe. It's like 50 or 40% of the professions that will exist in 10 years from now are not even possible now. They don't even exist right now. There'll be thousands of different types of jobs out there that no one even knows a name for now and can't even imagine what they would be. And they're going to be something that people are going for 10 years down the line. And there's so much change.
Yeah.
There's so much happening. And it's hard to predict where that's all going. But being flexible to change and learning new stuff is can get you positioned well for those changes.
Do you have any success stories that you can share that maybe you had someone who had a job, they didn't think that they could get anything better, and you found them something really great?
Yeah, I wish there were more of them. It's still pretty tough out there. And a lot of people don't tell me things. I always wish they would kind of tell me some stories. I'll give you this one. I guess this was, I don't know, the end of last year. And I was working with this guy, where was he living? In Utah, I think he was. He was a youth minister. No, a youth group minister, whatever the title is officially on. He worked, and he was in his 40s of all that, and he's working with these kids, essentially teenagers, and he's been doing that for like 20 years and running these youth-based groups in an organization, in a religious organization. And he was just doing that year after year, and getting burned out, and every year saying, I'm not going to do this anymore. And every year he would do it because he loved the kids, and he's just beating himself up. And he's 40 years old. It's hard to work with 16-year-olds, when you're 40. And and we were talking, and he's saying, well, this is all I've ever done. This is all I know. And we go back and realize when you do something like that, about management, leadership, group building, and he's going through all this stuff. Yeah, I've done all that kind of stuff. And now he's working in marketing of all things. And he has a management level in a marketing position because he did marketing materials for this youth group. What do you know? And he's just making his own hours, and he's not dealing with teenagers. And he's as happy as can be because he went back and looked at what he's done and what he really wants. And he was not afraid to make a change. And that fear of change is such a big thing.
Yeah.
So and I'm just happy for these kind of folks. He's making more money than he did before.
Yeah, I think it's important that we don't get burned out. And I've worked with guys that got into what I was doing, and they'd been doing it for almost 30 years. And then they were getting physically sick because they just couldn't take it anymore. you don't want to get burned out. You don't want to go through that. I mean, that can lead to depression and things like, I mean, you know what I'm saying here.
Oh, there are many studies out there that, as you get older, if you don't keep your brain active, if you don't challenge yourself, if you don't learn new things, your risk of getting dementia and other illnesses as you get older, and getting them at a younger age, they go way up. So, learn new things, challenge yourself, go in different directions, at least think about kind of what you can do. Don't just keep riding this, to the end and just, keep it the way it was, because learning is a part of life. We should all be doing that. We all should be helping. We all should be learning. We all should be thinking, how are we going to better ourselves? And in that process, you're going to have a longer life. You're going to be sharper, and your body's going to thank you in the end too.
I've got stories of guys that I worked with 25, 30 years in the business. They were so excited. They were finally going to retire, and they stuck it out 6 months to a year after they retired. They're dead.
And that is, so many people will put so much energy into a job, into a career. Their whole focus, the whole reason for being for a lot of people is that damn job. And and that's your 9 to 5, and you have the system, and you have this, and life is good, and they make your whole thing, they make this schedule for you. You don't have to think about it. You just do your work. Suddenly you're retired, and suddenly it's like falling off a cliff, right? That all or nothing thing is so hard for people, for men, for women also. So all the more reason to think about, don't just sit on the couch all day and do nothing. I mean, that's not retirement for me. Yeah, you can travel, but who has money for that, right? Learn new things, go back, get a little part-time job, go do some volunteer work. I do plenty of that as well. I'm kind of semi-retired. Keep your mind going, work with other people, help other people with what you know. And keep the wheels turning. And I'm never bored, even though I don't have a full-time schedule anymore. But I worried about this when I was getting older. What am I gonna do when I turn 62, 63 or something? No, there's plenty of stuff I want to do. And people should realize life doesn't end when the job ends. It just kind of begins in a way.
I mean, I was fortunate in a way. I mean, even though I had to retire because I have a degenerative disease that I'm disabled basically, and I had enough time in that I could retire. So I got that check. I got my disability coming in, and now I'm doing something that I really enjoy doing. But not everybody gets an opportunity like that. And so don't wait for, oh, well, maybe I'll win enough in the lottery. I can I could change careers or something. Don't wait.
No, you're exactly right. I mean, it took a real something crazy for me to kind of make that assessment. Don't wait for it. Think about what you want, and what we want changes, and what we want at 18 is not what we want at 50, right? So think about, how can we learn something new? What do you really want in this second or the second half of life, or the last 1/3 of life? People don't really think about it. They'll do a little bit here and there. They'll work in their wood shop or something like that. But life is awfully short, and
right.
And you want to make the best of it. Do some good things. Really dig inside yourself and see what really makes me happy, even while you're working. Look at those things and follow those passions, follow those interests. Don't just work to make a paycheck. Maybe you have to, but can you match what you really care about, what your mission in life is? Can you match that with the career? That's the stuff I like to talk to people about. It shouldn't be, here's the fun stuff on this side, here's the work on this side. Try to put the pieces together. You can find cool stuff that you can do that pays you money, that really follows where your heart wants to go. It's doable. It takes some effort, but it is doable.
You have a majority of people who are making it from paycheck to paycheck, and that's all their job is allotted for them. and when they retire, they want to travel and they want to do all these great things, but either your sanity's gone and or
Your
your
energy's
body is
gone.
gone. Yeah, your body's falling apart. You can't enjoy those things. And let's face it, a lot of folks when they retire, they don't even have the money to go do those things they want to do in life. I mean, you
And
might
talk
get,
about being trapped. A lot of people saying
yeah,
they're stuck at work. Well, you could be stuck in retirement with all these plans and no way out. Think in advance, think about, again, what makes you happy, and go do some things, be out there in the community, go work with people, go learn some new skills, take some classes online, make a podcast, you're crying out loud,
yeah,
push the envelope a little bit. There's a million things that we can do, and people don't realize half of them because they're just kind of stuck in one way of thinking.
yeah. I mean, I didn't want to be that guy sitting on the couch wasting away. I found doing this, it energizes me. I get to meet people, and I don't get out very much. My body doesn't allow me to get out as much.
Yeah, that's right.
So I had to do something, but I eventually would like to maybe get to travel when it's possible for me to travel. But the way things are going, I can't do that. So hopefully this will become successful enough that I will be able to. So that's what I say, find you something that excites you, something that's going to make you more than, I guess, a roofer would make. I mean, I don't know how much roofers are making, but
They do pretty well.
well, you know, there's
But
jobs.
that's it. But that's it. You have to ask, am I in this just to get the paycheck, or
Right.
am I in it because I love it? If
Yeah.
you can say, you're doing something because I really love doing this stuff, and plenty of people out there working on the roof or working on doing the paving out there in the street, they love that stuff. More power to you.
Oh yeah,
If you're
yeah.
doing it and you hate it, well, then think about how you can do something you actually like.
Yeah. And please, anybody out here that's watching this or listening to this, I'm not putting down roofers whatsoever. You're needed. Believe me, you're
Oh
needed.
yeah.
But like you said, somebody might have just taken that job just to earn a paycheck and they hate it. I've had some jobs that I absolutely hated. When we were sandblasting sides of those big tanks out in the oil field,
Yeah.
I did not enjoy that. I hated every minute of it. There's those jobs, and when you're stuck in it, it will eat away at your life. So find something you enjoy.
Yeah, and that is, and finds and realize, maybe we can't do all the code. We can't all be rock musicians, right? So, but you talk to somebody, you talk to a friend, you talk to somebody like me. You think about, well, yeah, here's what I would really love to do. Can I possibly get there? And then you go through this process, and yeah, for some of these things, yeah, maybe not. Maybe you need like a PhD to do that. Well, that's not going to work. But for some of these things, you can at least move in that direction and take some of those pieces out that you really, really like, and end up with a happier life. And for me, it's not about a job. I'm a life coach too. It's about having the life you want. It's not about having the job you want. It's about having the life you want. And I tell people, a career should serve your life, not the other way around. Your life should not be serving your job. That's not the way it's supposed to work. You should work so you can have the life you want. A lot of people think the job is all I need. Well, where's the life after that? And that's harder to make those decisions when you get older.
Yeah. Well, back to being a podcaster, I get to meet so many interesting and wonderful people. I make so many great friends. And you think,
big deal.
It does take some effort and some time to build up and to actually make money at this. But think of this. I learned how to edit my own videos, and I actually got to do editing for somebody else and made some money at it. So
See?
That might open up a door for you.
Exactly. And these changes that happen, all changes an opportunity. You credit to you. You decide, I'm not just going to sit around and do nothing and say, well, life is terrible, I'm just going to wait until I die. Yeah, people do that.
Yeah, they do.
But you said I'm going to do something. I'm going to try this. And yeah, you didn't know how to do all those things, but you learned something in the process because you kind of had to. And when that happens, something else might open up, or who knows what's going to happen with the video editing or whatever. You keep learning things, you do things rather than just trying to think about stuff. Things open up, you make connections. What do you know? Things open up that way too. You put yourself out there, you challenge yourself. And then all sorts of things happen that you don't expect that could be a lot better than you planned.
And I'm not a tech savvy guy. I'm not a computer guy, but I'll tell you, I got a YouTube video.
Yeah.
And it showed me how to do the editing on the program that I had.
No, that's it.
Yeah, it's a few mistakes in the beginning. And for me, it took a little while, but after about 2 months, I didn't even need the video anymore. I could do it myself. Now I could do it in my sleep. So, that's an education right there. YouTube has some very good educational videos on there.
Absolutely does. And that's free, right? And there are free sites out there. You see them advertised sometimes on TV and social media, or else they're really low cost. Yeah, if you want to learn how to be a bookkeeper or something, yeah, take a little free course. It might cost you $40 or something like that. Learn how to do your own plumbing or something like that. And then, do this sort of stuff and connect with people. Maybe they'll hire you to do something. You never know. You don't give up on this thing. Even if you're older, keep learning, keep doing new things, keep connecting, and opportunities open up. And if you're interested in it, what better thing is there than that, right? And you probably got yourself interested in the video and the editing stuff. And it becomes not just a chore, but yes, it's pretty cool. And you learn something new and you're happier for it.
Yeah. And when you do get interested in something like that, a lot of these jobs, you come on as an apprentice, they'll pay for your education.
Absolutely.
They'll help you get your licensing. I mean, the city got me a water license, got me a sewer license. I got my CDL through there. I got training on heavy equipment. I had all those skills. There's a lot of jobs out there that will put you through that further education. I mean, my wife's job did that, to help you learn different computer programs, how to do training, like you talked about, training other people to do stuff. There's all kinds of opportunities. Find something that makes you happy.
Or something that makes you happy, yeah, and show that you're interested in doing that. They'll pay for something if they can see that you have the ability and the interest. If you come across as, well, I don't want to learn new stuff. I've already learned everything I need to know the past 40 years. Now, if you show enthusiasm, a little confidence in yourself, and the willingness to learn, and you can, show what kind of background you have, what you can bring to the table for their benefits. Yeah, they'll say, this is a good person. I'm going to invest in them and train them to learn new stuff. And it's a win-win situation. You just have to come in with the right attitude a lot of the time.
So hopefully someone out there has got inspired to want to make a change, and they want to say, Jim, I want to use your services. How do they get a hold of you?
Well, that I would not mind if they do, to be honest. Yeah, I can, they can reach me, they can email. Oh, they can go to my website, actually. How about that? It's called Destination Vocation, destinationvocation.com. And what that is that what's our calling? What's our vocation? What's really important to us? Are you following what's calling you to be happy? So I started that company, started that site, and I get people kind of coming in and saying, well, yeah, I'm not happy with what I'm doing. I really want to do this. That's my calling. That's my vocation. Yeah, we work together. So yeah, check me out, destinationvocation.com, and say hi.
And so maybe they might be interested in seeing what you're up to on social media. What sites are you on?
I am on LinkedIn a lot. Facebook, I'm having a little hard time kind of breaking into that, but I love writing stuff on LinkedIn. I'm posting things about corporate culture and job searches and looking for work as an older professional. And yeah, it's LinkedIn. Look for Jim Black on LinkedIn as well. And you can see some hopefully interesting things. And you get a following after a while. I'm not as big as your following, but people kind of pay attention and they'll reach out to me and say, yeah, let's talk. You said some cool things. So yeah, check me out on LinkedIn, got the destinationvocation.com site. And I'm just out there to help. I'm not out there to make a lot of money. I'm just out there to share some of the crazy stuff that I went through so people can take less time and have less stress than I did trying to figure it all out.
Well, I'd say I do love LinkedIn. I get some great connections on there, and it's more professional. You don't get all that, cutesy garbage that you usually get on the other ones. But
That's true.
Have you tried Alignable?
I'm on Alignable. I mean, that's a great way to make referrals and make good connections with people. I'm making some headway into that. It's not as busy as I was hoping at first, but it's the connection piece, and I get referrals on occasion, and I'll send referrals out to somebody else who I know their specialty is a little different than mine. Maybe they like to work with younger people. I work with older people a lot, and I'll get some stuff back and forth. But that's still building. That's still a relatively new player in the game. Alignable is pretty cool.
Yeah, I've gotten some really good connections on there.
Have you really through that? All right.
Oh yes, I have. And I'm like you, it's slow, but it's building pretty good. And I've gotten quite a few referrals on there myself.
Well, I'll connect with you on there, Kyle.
That'll work.
All right, that'll work. Yeah, and just thank you again for the opportunity. I'm happy to maybe inspire people. I mean, you're never too old. You're never, you have the abilities. You just believe in yourself. Maybe talk to somebody about it, and you can do amazing things. A lot of people don't realize how amazing they can be and how much change they can deal with and how resilient they are and how many good things can happen if you just push it a little bit.
Oh yeah. Don't be afraid to take that step.
Don't be afraid. Fear is the worst thing out there. Just plow through it, face it, plow through it, and things will happen that you wouldn't believe are possible.
Well, hopefully we've inspired y'all today. And if you want to, I will put the link to his website so you can go to it and get connected. Maybe you can at least get some advice. Try it. That's all I'm saying. But I want to thank our guest, Mr. Black here. Thank you so much for spending your time here. And I also want to thank y'all out there that if this is your first time, I'm glad you stopped by, and I'm glad you stuck it all the way to the end. But no, seriously, I do appreciate you, and I hope you'll come back. Please hit that subscribe button. And from our regulars out there, you know what you mean to me. Because of you, I get to do this. So until the next one, everyone, please take care. Be kind to one another. God bless, and peace.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Listen to the Vibes. You can catch us on Buzzsprout or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, and on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook at The Vibes Broadcast Network